Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Duncan. Today I'm going to do the Books and Life tag created by Steve Donahue. So we are all contractually obliged to do it. So it's a pretty good tag, just about kind of life and your reading, as the title suggests. So number 1, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a normal person, 10 being the late Harold Bloom, how much are books and reading part of your life? I'd say probably somewhere like 5 or 6. I mean, the first thing is I work. I work 6 days a week, so that takes up the majority of my time. Much more time than I would like it to. And then even then, when I am at home, I also like to listen to music, listen to the odd podcast. I have my sweet boy that I hang out with and have to walk 2-3 times a day, and just play with him and all that kind of stuff, and spend a bit of time with my wife. So I have a lot of other things to be doing other than reading, but I do read every day. Even if it's not a book, I read news articles and that sort of stuff. There's days I've gone not reading a book, but I possibly don't think I've ever had a day since I could read that I haven't got a day where I've not read at least an article, a newspaper article, something. So yeah, I do read every day, and I get really annoyed if I don't get to read at least a couple pages of a book a day too. Number 2, where does your personal library stand right now in relation to the rest of your life? Do you have more books now than you ever have? Fewer? How has your library changed? So I probably have the most books I've ever owned. It's got to be somewhere between 500 to 600 books right now. It's hard to know because I keep buying more, and I keep buying more in fairly large numbers. So I haven't actually taken a account recently, but I imagine it is the most I've ever had, because I just have the most space that I've ever had in my life. I have a pretty big house now, and before that I always lived in apartments, and so yeah. But my library drastically changed, because in 2013 I met my now wife, and I essentially gave up my whole library because I was moving internationally, and I had a pretty large record collection, and I had to I wanted to keep more than my books. There are some regrets as I go along and find certain books, or particularly certain editions of books, that are very hard to get hold of now. But ultimately, I made the right decision back then. I did get rid of a lot of rubbish. I think probably the biggest difference is I had a lot of UK crime, old vintage UK crime, and I probably have more vintage American crime now, just because living in the UK was a lot harder to get vintage US crime novels, especially like the kind of paperback originals that I like, and stuff from the pulp era. It was much easier to find kind of golden era and 1950s British crime there. And now that I live in Canada, it's a lot easier to, especially on like eBay and stuff, it's a lot easier to find the US paperback originals, things like Ace and Berkeley and Dell, those kind of prints. Gold medal, Fawcett Gold medal. I don't think I ever owned a Fawcett Gold medal in the UK, but I've got quite a few now. And I had a lot of pan books, which were probably highly collectible. I probably should have sold them, but I didn't really have enough time. I just gave them all to the Oxfam shop. But I only have a couple of pans now, just the occasional ones that have popped up here and there in secondhand shops and a couple of eBay purchases. That's probably I probably have less kind of general literary friction than I used to, but I probably have about the same kind of percentage of vintage to contemporary. I don't, because I just don't really buy a lot of contemporary books. That's probably about it, really. Number 3, take a mental step back and ask yourself, what is the most likely first bookish impression that newcomer would have in your home? Not really much, unless they actually go upstairs and into the book room. Pretty much all of the books are confined to the book room, so unless they actually physically go in there, people won't really get much of an impression. Usually people will walk into the living room and be like, that's a lot of records. I don't know if you actually have seen that whole wall is records, and then that there is records with next to the record player, and that there is records, and that is not all of them. There's another chair, and there's another cabinet there that's just full of 7 inches. And I think we might even still have some in the hallway too. So basically, people don't really get past the records. But yeah, I think most people, when they see my books, they just like don't know what they are. People think I'm weird anyway, so it's pretty just what people think I'm weird. How often, if ever, gulp, do you clean or reorganize your books? Pretty much almost never. I did have them fairly organized at the end of last year, but then my wife got a job working from home, so we turned the book room into an office, and it required moving some shelves. So the easiest thing to do was just take all the books off, put all the books back on, but they didn't go back in the same order, like nowhere close. But I don't really care. I'm kind of the type of person that if stuff is just, I don't have like a crazy amount of books, so if everything is just left in the same spot, I'll just find a book that easy, so I'll know where it is. I'll just know where it is. I have a pretty good memory. And yeah, I think when I do finally get to reorganizing them, I think I'm definitely gonna try to have all the paperbacks together and like the hardbacks together. Like I'm gonna try and arrange them more on kind of size, just because they actually fit on the shelves much better. However, it's really annoying when you have huge paperbacks next to huge hardcovers next to small paperbacks. It's really hard to get in and out. So if I do ever, that's what I will do. But not really that bothered. Number 5, on average, how many books do you acquire in a given week? I don't usually buy books regularly. Usually just have a bad week and go on eBay and buy a few books or whatever. Someone will mention a book or something, and I'll quickly just buy a copy of that off Indigo or something. I have all the apps, so it's very easy to buy stuff. It's very easy to buy books very quickly. So I tend to, with my return to eBay, I have been buying more kind of like the lots or packaged books. So I've been getting them in crazy amount of numbers. So probably my last 2 book hauls, I have done more than on average 2 a week. Like my last two was about 100 books between the two. So if I'm gonna average it out, it's probably gonna be like 4 a week or something like that. But it's generally more like all in once, but then nothing for a while, and lots of books and then nothing. I am susceptible to the sales as well, for like especially Versa would keep emailing me about these amazing sales they're having. I don't think I've read any of the books. I just gotta stop buying books and just read. But you know, what are you gonna do? Number 6. What song is your current earworm? So I live in Canada, so naturally my earworm is a Biba song, and it is Peaches, and it's a pretty good song actually, but it's mainly good because Daniel Caesar, who is fantastic, and I think Giveon are featured on it. I mean, some people might say they're actually more feature more heavily than Bieber on the song, but it's actually a pretty good song. It's very catchy, and it is literally on the radio every time we get in the car. I think we had a half an hour drive the other day, and we heard it twice. That's kind of how much it's on, but I'm not mad at it. Number 7. What percentage of your self-control do you retain in a well-stocked bookshop? In like a new bookshop, I can be pretty self-restrained. Mainly because it's like 30. It's at least about $20 Canadian for a paperback, and it's anywhere between like $30 to $60 for a hardcover. Usually anything that's Canadian is a little bit like on the cheaper side, but if it's been like imported from the UK, and some of these US hardcovers could be like $60. I think the Obama book was 60, which was crazy. It actually put me off buying it, even though it probably came down in price, whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's occasionally sales or whatever, and sometimes I will, but I'm never that bothered by new releases. If I go into a second-hand bookshop and the prices are decent, even if you're looking at like $10 a book, if they have stuff that but like this kind of more rarer stuff that I like, I have much less self-control, and if they have like, you know, books I haven't necessarily heard of but books are super interesting, then yeah, I'm more likely. And then if I go into like a charity shop or a really good second-hand store that's got like crazy prices, like dollar books, 25-cent books kind of thing, no self-restraint. I mean, I went into Value Village the other day, and which is like a second-hand chain store kind of thing in Canada, and they had these grab bags. It was like, I think it was $3 for a grab bag, and there was 5 books in it, and there was like all the executioner books. So it's like less than $1 per book, and I bought like I think it was 9 of them, and then I bought another one that was a bunch of C.S. Forrester books. So yeah, I got like 50 books for $30. So yeah, that kind of thing. I'm less restrained. Number 8. Do you feel the need to take a break from books? If so, what form does it take? Very occasionally. It's usually just because I'm so tired that I can't actually concentrate or read the words. So sleep. That's usually the break when it takes sleep. Occasionally I have responsibilities. that I have to take care of, but it's not really a break that I want to take. It's more like I have to take. But yeah, usually it's just sleep or making booktube videos. Um, when you meet a new person, how long does it take you to bring up books? Never. I just never bring up books. If someone else brings up books, I'll maybe chip in a little bit, but not usually too much about what I'm reading. I think the only people I really speak to about books is a couple of my in-laws. But even then, it's just usually what they're reading, and I'll maybe get hold of a book they're recommending just to see what they're reading and what it's about. But I never really discuss the books that I am reading. And this is because most people don't read or even entertain that there is such a thing as reading books for fun, or even reading books for information. It seems to be that books are something that are for school, and that's it. But then if I ever do meet a reader, they don't read the stuff that I read, or even heard of the stuff that I've read. Very few people, even on BookTube, seem to know what I'm talking about. And so I either get a complete blank look, or it's almost disdain if they actually kind of know that I'm reading crime, like, because usually the people I know read books read literary fiction, I guess you would call it. So they kind of maybe look down on me a little bit. And the other stuff is I read a lot of political and activist books of a very hard left nature, and so on. It's more about it's not as it's more of a polarizing kind of thing, right? So a lot of people won't really be into that. So yeah, I try not to bring up books. I try not to bring up my politics as well, actually. If I'm talking to new people, I kind of just try to talk about the weather and very safe subjects like that if I'm talking to new people, because I just try to feel people out. Number 10. Have you given any thoughts, made any provisions for your personal library after you croak? No, I don't really care what happens to it. It's not really for me to decide. I'm very much believe that as long as I have all my affairs in order, I don't care. As long as all the legal stuff is probably my wife or whoever is going to outlive me, just inherits everything, easy as. It's completely up to them what they do with it. I'm dead. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Likewise, I would never plan my own funeral. Funerals are for the living, not for the dead. So, yeah, it's completely. I don't mind having it all paid for, whatever. Make sure everyone's well off, everyone's cared for. But what's done is that I don't care. There's nothing interesting about my book collection. I'm sure it will just end up in a Value Village or a secondhand store or the Free Little Library or something. Just to cart them off. I really don't care. And I know a lot of people have said, well, I'm young, I don't have to really worry about that. It's like, well, I'm 37. But I could go any minute. I could go any, you never know, and especially when we just we're in a time of a global pandemic. I think if you do worry about these things, I think you should, no matter how old you are, have all your affairs in order, and if you have certain views on what you want to happen, then you should express those feelings to people, because you never know. I've always been a very strong advocate for donor, and I think my whole family knows that I want everything to be donated. If I can help someone else, go for it. I've always had a donor card. I don't know how it works here in Canada. I think when I got my health card, I ticked the box that said it, but my wife definitely knows that I'm very happy to be a donor. So yeah, get your affairs and everything in order. Number 11, are you known among your friends and loved ones for your weird and probably unhealthy relationship with books? I'm definitely known for being weird. I don't know in what context people have my weirdness down. I definitely know that people think I'm weird, but that's the only perception I have. Other people's perception that I have of myself. So yeah, that's that. That was a very interesting tag. Good questions as always from Steve, and hopefully he'll do another one of these in another month or two. Yeah, hope you enjoyed my answers, and feel free to do this tag. I'm not going to tag anyone, but feel free if you want to. So I'll see you again soon. Bye.